You just spent all day working on your garden, and the next day you wake up and it's infested with pests. Well, in this video I'm going to show you how to remove those pests, that way you don't have to deal with this in the future. So we start off with potato beetles, one of the most nuisance beetles that you can possibly find in your garden. Most people think that if you see this in your garden you have to kill it. But here's the thing, you actually don't have to kill this sort of stuff when it's in your garden. You don't have to kill your whole garden. You have to kill the stuff though. So there are two ways you can go about this. The first way is the classical method. Shake all the bugs into a cup, fill the cup up with water and soap to make soapy water, and let them sit in that mixture for 6 to 12 hours. And once that time is up, dump it somewhere very far from your garden, just in case there's like 1 or 2 survivors, which I guarantee you, it's probably going to not survive any of that sort of stuff. The next way is using certain pest sprays. Now there are certain pest sprays you can get that won't damage the crop or damage you if you decide to like eat like, I don't know, like maybe like a tomato or something. I would not recommend typical pesticides that some commercial farmers use, because those will impact the harvest and you, as a matter of fact. So I'd recommend getting pesticides that won't impact you. Next up we have the tomato beetles. Oh boy, these are a classic one on this channel. Everyone hates these types of beetles, and I'm not talking about, you know, the real beetles that like performed as a band. I'm talking about the tomato beetles, you know, the one and only ones that feast on your tomatoes and will just leave them all dead. The easy thing you can do is get some basil. I know it can easily be fixed with a single plant, but just some basil, every other tomato will definitely do the trick. We use this to keep all the tomato beetles out of the garden, and it works just about every single time because they do not like the smell of basil one bit. So next up we're going to be talking about birds. Everyone hates birds in their garden, and I've never met anyone that wants birds in their garden. Specifically sparrows, finches, and all those basic like birds that just feast on your strawberries and every other, especially strawberries and blueberries, just come up in your garden and they will take the whole thing down in one day. The best you can do to keep birds out is to either A, keep bigger animals near your not chickens, sorry, I'm used to making chicken videos, near your garden, especially chickens. If I put this chicken in my garden, which I don't trust her in my garden, but if I somehow were to trust a chicken in the garden, they'd keep most of the birds out. And also caging them up, so that way the birds' little beaks can't get them. I mean, it can stick their little beak in there, so make sure that it's about like, just about 7 inches from the distance is about 7 inches from the plant to the wire, so that way the beak can't get in there, especially with bigger birds with bigger beaks. And also make sure it's not mesh, so that way like a bird can't just tear through it or find a loophole, or so that way a deer can't just crash right through that. So that leads me on my next one. Now deer are one of easily the most annoying things in your garden. And if you're not the type of person that likes hunting deer, or in any way has a hunting license and that sort of thing, the best you can do is apply one of these plants on the screen, especially oregano, into your garden and make sure that they're staying out of it, because they don't like the smell of these things one bit. Another thing you can do is keep a really tall fence, but they can jump it. And if they're really desperate, like, you know, where you're in like a very, very, very intense drought, then you might dig under the fence, but that's very uncommon. So make sure that your fence is at least 2 or 3 inches deep. It will really help out a lot when you have this sort of stuff in your garden to keep the deer out, especially considering that when they're in, they're really heavy. Some deer can weigh as much as 250 pounds or more. So they will stomp on, especially if you have irrigation valves. Oh boy, irrigation valves. If they stomp on that sort of stuff, it can and will destroy your entire system. So those hours and hours of work you put into making sure the programming of the irrigation valves and system is correct could go to waste. So that's why I'd recommend plants or a fence. Next up we have rabbits, and everyone does not want some rabbits in their yard. Well, most people do if they don't have a garden, but if they do have a garden, they don't want rabbits anywhere near that thing, me included. So if you don't want rabbits, here's what to do. Firstly, you could try like going out and like basically like going, just like chilling out there, doing literally like nothing, just chilling out in the garden, keeping them out. It's as simple as that. But if they are still coming in, even if you're keeping them out, I'd recommend relocating where you find their home. If they don't have a specific home, I'd recommend spending a bit more time out in the garden, There isn't any solid way to remove rabbits from your garden, but yeah, that's pretty much all there was to say. So if you enjoyed, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye.